He's a bearded thug with poor personal hygiene and an eye for nannies. Yes, the feral goat has a PR problem, and Neil's here to help. It's made of metal and a bit pointy at the end. If your bullet selection is more luck than judgment, Paul is with the Sako ammo guys explaining what to use and when. We have news, we have hunting YouTube, we have a top tip for pigeon hides. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. It's December on the Ardnamurchan peninsula and Neil is feeding the locals. Any time at the zoo, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, this is our herd of red deer that we keep around the bunkhouse. An awful lot of people that come and stay here have never seen, they've never seen their largest native mammal up close. And in the woodland area here we try and keep the impacts of the deer to a minimum. But we want people to be able to see them, so what we've done is we've got them into the routine of feeding at the house here. So we have a couple of stags and a wee group of hinds that come in round the house all the time. And these are wild deer, they're not park deer, these are wild deer that have just got used to this as a party trick. It's a combination of things that we've done here. We've sown a lot of grass species here that deer like, so the deer are here throughout the year. In the summer of the year they calf in the woodland around the house, and there's now a stag standing about 40 yards from me. Come on! Come on! So I mean, he doesn't know you, but you'll find that they can quite easily tell people apart. So my wife feeds them more than I do. I mean, when Faye's in the garden, the deer will literally come within 2 and 3 feet of her.
For West Highland hunting, it's been another successful stag season, and Neil's guides and clients are now focusing on managing the hinds, which is one of the reasons Tim is here. For the later part of the season, Neil has been putting a new round through its paces, the fashionable 6.5 Creedmoor.
I mean, I've been doing this for about 40 years now, and I'm probably getting a bit old-fashioned now that there's things I use and I like, and I've been a huge fan of the 300 WSM, but in fairness, I'd spoken to 2 or 3 people and they said, try it. Bradley Bornall, I know very well, Brad said it was a terrific round. The Hornery guys themselves were very excited about the accuracy they can get from it. And I've always kind of felt that maybe the 6.5 was a wee bit undergunned for big red deer. So we thought we'd give it a whirl. So at the end of the stags this year, switched over to this new R8 Success, switched over to the 6.5 Creedmoor. It probably doesn't have the same knockdown power as the 300, but that would be obvious. But its consistent accuracy is excellent. And this round and this rifle, they're literally putting them one round on top of the other. And particularly for lady hunters or for lighter and smaller hunters, with a moderator on it, on the R8 with a 6.5, it's really like shooting a 2.2.
However, today it's not actually about red deer and rifles, it's about goats. For some reason, feral goats seem to attract a lot of media attention, especially when they are shot by Americans. So Neil wants to explain a little bit more about this alien non-native, their natural history, and the benefits they bring to the rural economy. First, we need to find some. Tim and David are sent off in search of Billy, Nanny, and the kids. High above the Peninsula Road we find them. They're roaming within the protected Soonart Oakwoods. They're not the only example of nature's bounty having an impact here. Rhododendron is rife. As an alien non-native, goats can be shot, or they can be removed by live capture through darting or trapping. So what do you do with them once you've captured them? Their status means they cannot be released into the wild elsewhere. They have to be contained. That's a problem for anyone managing a goat herd.
A lot of things that we become very learned and study and find out, we'll find our ancestors have worked out all on their own. And probably one of the things that's most interesting about the islands around the coast of Scotland that very often have the name Goat Island or Eilean and Goba was the fact that goats swim like a brick. And very often what they would do is culturally, the billies that they used for breeding purposes, they didn't want these smelly, evil-natured beggars wandering about their communities all the time. So what they did is they took them out and put the billies on islands. And very often on the west coast, where goats are established on rocky outcrops, points, remote areas and islands, is because they were physically put there to keep them out of the way. And when you look at places like this, there are goats active around this area, but they can't really swim about and cause any grief, because unlike red deer, who swim happily back and forth across Loch Sunart, the goats are pretty much landlubbers. They don't like putting to sea, and they're not competent swimmers.
Back on the hill, and the herd are wary, but they stick around. They're a varied mixture of colours. Niall has witnessed sea eagles snatching the white-coloured young, which is another reason he believes they spend so long among the trees.
Now, even before goats became mainstream media, we were going to talk about goats anyway.
Yes.
What were the sort of the areas where people were showed their ignorance about goats and their natural history?
Well, I think a lot of people think there's the British goat, or the primitive goat, or the feral goat, or whatever we want to call him, is something fairly unique. But he's not a native. He's not part of the natural flora and fauna of the UK. And
even with 3,000 years under his belt.
Well, it's an interesting point of view. I mean, you could say that the feral goat's been in the Highlands of Scotland longer than the Scots are. I mean, they've been here since the Bronze Age, so they probably are more Highland than the Highlanders, and probably more Pictish than the Picts. But they came here with early settlers, and it's a fair point you make, David, and we've discussed this already. I mean, what makes the feral goat public enemy number one? And no one mentions the brown hare, when we're pretty confident that the brown hare arrived here with the Romans. So he's not quintessentially British either, but it's pretty much ingrained in what we do. But the hare probably came from a wild source, but the goats most definitely came from an agricultural, domesticated source.
What does the government want to do with goats?
They want them gone. I mean, governments, if you go into any of their websites, you'll see that they're quite categoric about how destructive and damaging the feral goat is. And they make no bones about it, that they don't want their range to expand, and they want the impacts from them contained. And this can only be done through control and culling.
But what they're using is the trophy element, aren't they? That's the aspect that they're really honing in on.
Well, I think there's a lot of people would say that, I mean, I've shot a few goats in my time, and compared with stalking red deer, they're not desperately challenging. But what I will defend it with is that to people that collect caprea, they complete their collection. I would suggest that if they didn't generate these sorts of incomes, then the limited tolerance they still have would lead to zero tolerance, and they probably would be gone, which would suit a lot of conservationists but upset a lot of people that have a passion for the goat.
Niall really does appreciate this long-serving member creature of the British Isles, as do many of his clients. They're here to stay. However, goats, like the red deer, find the spotlight when wildlife management is under scrutiny. It would be nice to see other more destructive alien invaders taking the heat, and the goat not always playing the scapegoat. Thank you, Niall, and of course we all remember Goatgate last year with Larissa Switlick. Funnily enough, goat shooting has continued without incident. Maybe because no women have appeared with one. Weird how the media like to do that. Now from weird to, well, reluctantly I have to admit, wonderful. It's David on the Fieldsports channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. The RSPB has brought out its annual attack on gamekeeping, the Bird Crime Report.
Amazing birds like peregrines, goshawks.
The report lists unproven allegations to try and show that gamekeepers are poisoning and shooting birds of prey. It ignores the damage done to raptor populations by relocations, monitoring and the use of telemetry on wild birds. Meanwhile, convictions for raptor persecutions are now so low, the number is statistically insignificant. The Game and Wildlife Conservation Trust predicts a second extinction for the capercaillie. The GWCT's capercaillie counts show that the trends towards rewilding and the lack of gamekeepers or gamekeeping techniques in capercaillie conservation areas means the bird is on the way out of Scotland for a second time. It first became extinct north of the border in the 18th century. Wales plans to stop gamekeepers from carrying out pest bird control. Natural Resources Wales has proposed changes to general licences in Wales. General Licence 004 permits the killing or taking of certain birds such as carrion crows and magpies for the purpose of conserving other wild birds. However, under new proposals, the licence will only apply for conserving red or amber listed birds of conservation concern. At the same time, Natural Resources Wales is praising a grouse moor. Following the destruction of 290 hectares of unkeeped moorland at Llantysilio in a wildfire, an unofficial report quoted NRW calling next door Rhuabon Moor a local example of a moorland which is effectively managed by rotational small patch burning and mowing. What happens when a keen deer stalker spots a deer tangled up in a rope fence? Well, he gets stuck in. Friend of the show, Paul Hero Hodson, found the fallow buck with 20 metres of rope twisted round its antlers in countryside in Staffordshire. It had struggled for so long, it broke off part of an antler. Paul covered its head and disentangled it. The Animal Liberation Front has hit another farm, this one in Gloucestershire. It claims it released 5,000 partridges in the middle of the night in August. The group put up a barricade on the track between the partridges and the gamekeeper's house to prevent him from reaching them and saving the birds from certain death on the ground. The UK government's responded to Chris Packham's petition to ban driven grouse shooting. It says grouse shooting is a legitimate activity providing benefits for wildlife and habitat conservation and investment in remote areas. It adds that this is a devolved matter and needs to be addressed by governments in Scotland and Wales. Parliament will consider the subject for debate. The Scottish Government's destruction of its deer population is driving animals onto roads. Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon's plans to reforest the Highlands has made deer her wildlife enemy number one. Government deer managers have tripled their applications for night shooting licences in the last 10 years, frustrating many deer managers who feel shooting deer at night and out of season on the public estate throws best practice and animal welfare out of the window. The Scottish Gamekeepers Association says night shooting is the reason deer are moving into the Scottish lowlands, where there's increased road traffic collisions. But this is not helped by gritting roads during the winter months with a sugary molasses cocktail, offering a delicious incentive for the deer to lick tarmac. The British Game Alliance has secured its first overseas trade agreement. It sold 250,000 birds to be exported for use in retail and high-end restaurants in Hong Kong and Macau this season. The deal is with the luxury meat supplier Sutherland, and game will be eaten in hotel chains such as the Mandarin Oriental and Grand Hyatt. Here is BGA Managing Director Tom Adams.
This was done 6 months ago on a trade mission set up by the Department for International Trade, where we had 20 meetings over 5 days, and the hard work has paid off, and we look forward to seeing British game on the shelves of Hong Kong supermarkets.
Drones are saving young deer. In Graubeuden in eastern Switzerland, drones with thermal imaging cameras were able to spot and rescue 450 newborn deer from mowers during this year's hay cut. Over the last 4 years, gamekeepers have raised over £21,000 for the Yorkshire Air Ambulance. The keepers from grouse shooting estates in the North York Moors held clay shoots, raffles, auctions and even a swear box to raise funds. These are pictures of this year's cheque. Richard Folds has won the British Open Sporting. The clay shooting championship took place at High Lodge in Suffolk, and the former Olympic gold medalist won with a score of 94 out of 100. A Dorset farmer has been granted a restraining order over a vegan activist. Emma Christopherakis, also from Dorset, who describes herself as a militant vegan, branded John Wood's family murderers and confronted him at an agricultural event. Father of two, John Wood, from Wimborne, Minster, Dorset, was briefed by counter-terror police and feared vegans had planted bombs under his tractors. Meanwhile, police were called when 15 animal rights activists chained themselves to machinery at a slaughterhouse in Kent. A vegan animal shelter has separated its cocks from its hens so the cocks don't violate the hens. In a film released by the Almas Veganas sanctuary in Spain, activists feed eggs to the hens, saying to the camera, "We give them their eggs because they are theirs." The film has gone viral. All lead ammunition and all lead weights for fishing could be banned in Europe. The European Commission has asked the European Chemicals Agency to prepare a restriction proposal. It has ordered the ECA to look at the risk lead shot and bullets pose to wildlife, humans and animal welfare. Lions are being relocated from South Africa to Mozambique. This photo, released by National Geographic, shows one of 24 lions sent to the Zambezi Delta. National Geographic fails to mention that the relocation is funded by hunting tourism. Feral hogs are so loathed by landowners in Texas, the state has relaxed hunting laws. From the start of this month, you don't need a hunting license to pursue them on private property. Thanks to Mike Corney for the story. Trophy hunting bans imperil biodiversity. That's the subject of a letter written to the Journal of Science, signed by 130 scientists from around the world. It says that ending hunting tourism in Africa risks biodiversity loss. Thanks to Andrew Gibbons for sending in the story. Duck hunting and access are up for debate in the Australian state of Victoria. Called the Battle for the Bush, residents are protesting on the streets of Melbourne to stop the spread of national parks where hunting and fishing are banned. Meanwhile, antis want to ban hunting and replace it with ecotourism. Among problems for the antis is that 26,000 people want to go duck hunting and only a handful want to take part in ecotourism. Gordon Rich Phillips gave a speech in duck hunters' favour in the state parliament.
Mr Medic and his activist friends were nowhere to be seen when the hunting fraternity in Victoria was recognising the value of wetlands, was recognising the need to protect and develop wetlands, which we now enjoy across the state, both for hunting and for other recreational purposes.
And finally, the UK Prime Minister and his girlfriend had delivery of a new puppy this week. Called Dylan, the 15-week-old Jack Russell Cross moves in with 12-year-old Larry, the Downing Street cat. Boris Johnson's girlfriend, Carrie Symonds, has been vague about animal management, enjoying only photo opportunities with members of the animal rights lobby. If Dylan is true to his breed, she could be about to learn the realities firsthand. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. And there's more news on our website. Fastest way to get there is F Channel. And if you like our news and the way we take the fight to the antis, well, that's all paid for by our shareholders who support us in a number of ways via YouTube membership, via Patreon or Patreon, and directly. And if you want to find out how to do that and get your hands on a much coveted Fieldsports Channel goodie bag, go to fchannel/Fieldsports Nation. Now, Paul's trip to Finland this summer involved more than just smashing up Sako rifles. He also got involved with bullet choice basics. Why do you choose the bullets you use? Price, accuracy, recommendations, the box. And yet these guys have put thousands of hours of R&D into each bullet design for a reason, a very specific reason. They even colour code the boxes to make it easier to choose the right flavour. But do you really know if strawberry is more suitable for your close-range stag than salted caramel, or peach offers better downrange performance on bore than pistachio? Well, ammunition manufacturer Sako has invited Paul to its ammo testing site and its production facility to learn why bullets are not just bullets, and you should be choosing the right one for the job.
Well, so it's a 100-metre range, is it?
This is 100-metre test range, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All indoors, all controlled?
Yeah, controlled environment, so we are able to eliminate temperature effects and rain, everything such. And then we have velocity measurement, pressure measurement, accuracy.
So basically everything in this container,
exactly.
Every eventuality.
Exactly, so we have also gelatin test unit, so we can shoot the gelatin and measure how the bullet works in terminal test and such.
Paul will also be out field testing them, stalking roebucks in Hampshire. More of that later. To keep things simple, we are concentrating on 2 bullet types, both in 308, the Super Hammerhead bonded soft point and the polymer-tipped Gamehead Pro.
It's something you don't think about when you go to get your ammo. You look at whether the bullet's pretty.
Exactly, yeah.
Whether, you know, whether it's got what tip it's got on the end, what the colour of the box is.
Yeah.
You think a bullet reacts the same at 100 and 200. You know, you don't see that. You don't even think about.
Exactly. But for those ballistic tips, bonded technologies, there is a specific reason why they are, and they get. With those, you can get some benefits to different animals and different
especially
distances.
the bigger game, the bigger, heavy, stronger game.
Exactly. So you want to use bonded bullet, for example, for heavier game, more thick-skinned game, because you want to keep the bullet in one piece to get the most like lethal, devastating effect of the bullet.
Get the best reaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, of course, both of these bullets will drop a deer at 50, 100 or 200 metres, but each is designed to achieve its optimal terminal performance at different ranges and on different game species. Let's start with the Gamehead Pro.
A lot of people say to me, you know, the ballistic tip on the end, it's not dipped in nitroglycerine, or it's just more of a flight.
Yeah, it's ballistic tip itself. It's more concentrated to improve the, let's say, flight ballistic, exterior ballistic when the bullet flies. So if you take the tip away, bullet itself is hollow point bullet, which has not very good ballistic coefficient, but it expands very aggressively. So you get 2 benefits: increased flight ballistic, flatter trajectory, and then better expansion of the bullet at low velocity.
So basically, it's a nose cone.
Yeah, exactly.
The Gamehead Pro is designed to start mushrooming as soon as it feels the resistance of the animal's skin at lower velocities. This terminal testing helps to illustrate this.
55 centimeters is penetration for this bullet. And then you can see that the expansion of the bullet has been very aggressive, rapidly starting from immediately impacting the gelatin. It starts expanding. So this first 5 centimeters is very critical, and we are very interested how expansion starts, and because it may be that you shoot animal and it goes between the bones, so the resistance opening the bullet is not actually that much. So it's very important how the bullet opens in the first 5 centimeters to gelatin. So we can also simulate bones by using plywood or even real bones or something, but important thing when developing the bullets is to get the conditions standardized, that we can see when we change something in the bullet, how does it affect and such. So it's very important to have standardized way of doing. So here we got it mushroomed. Actually, very nicely mushroomed, and lead remained inside and didn't separate from the jacket.
This type of bullet is often described as more frangible.
So here we have unshot bullet of this DGK. So it's 165 grains. And then the shot one that we just did, 125.4. So we got around 76-75% weight retention. But this was pretty good, fair result for the bullet, because it's anyway 25 meters, which is very close situation, and it's not the optimal situation for this bullet. So it's even working better when we shoot longer ranges, when we get the benefit. Exactly.
Next up is the Super Hammerhead. We saw this in action in Sweden at the end of last year with Aimpoint sponsored Robert Gidesho on wild boar.
Sako.
It's his bullet of choice, but why is it working so well on close range boar?
Okay, so the previous one, Gamehead Pro, was our rapid expansion series, red one. Now we moved to blue series, which is control expansion, and it means that it's bonded bullets. So every blue series cartridges, they have bonded bullets.
Blue for bonded.
Yeah, exactly. And bonding means that the lead core inside the bullet is chemically attached to the copper jacket.
Right, yeah.
So when the bullet expands, it doesn't separate. When we hit bones and go through thick skin, bonding improves the weight retention.
This is built to withstand thick-skinned, heavy-muscled animals at short range. The bonded bullet also stops the mushrooming at its optimum level to keep the wound cavity open. It retains a lot more of its weight, again, thanks to being bonded.
So if we take the penetration, it's almost 50 centimeters, so it's actually 5 centimeters less than the Gamehead Pro. So that's because, of course, it's lighter bullet. Yeah. So lighter bullet has more impact velocity. Yeah. So when it expands, it expands very quickly because of this added velocity. When we now remove the bullet, we can measure it and we can see that the weight retention is actually higher because of this bonding technology. So now in this bullet you can see that the lead is very well fixed on the jacket. It doesn't separate that much. And very nice mushroom we got.
Mushroom, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, let's go and have a look. So now we shot Super Hammerhead 150 grain.
Yeah.
And after the gelatin shot, the weight 131.5 grain. So the weight retention is 88% around 88. So considerably higher.
So it's kept its...
Exactly, it has kept it better in one piece and didn't you have less meat loss and a cleaner wound channel. Yeah. Because when you think that with this bullet we lost 40 grains of weight, so that weight is put on the animal. Yeah, exactly. And here we had less than 20 grains. Yeah.
So these bullets are the same, but different. You wouldn't carry multiple rounds just in case, but it's worth considering whether you're using a Lamborghini to do the work of a Land Rover. Next time, Paul is out using the Sako Gamehead Pro on row. In the meantime, find out more about these rounds at sako.fi. Thank you, Paul, Arte and Christian. Bullets are a difficult subject. Some people just want to go bang, others want the full inside leg measurement, and I hope that helped. Now, a quick tip from a viewer. Thanks to David Stevenson for sending in his idea for a hide seat. It's a £10 alternative to a bucket seat. He bought a hard plastic 50-litre suitcase in a charity shop and added backpack straps that he'd ordered from Army Surplus. David is 6'3" and about 110 kilograms, and it holds him, he says. The height is good. No more grunting to get up. Thank you, David Stevenson. Next up, it's Hunting YouTube. This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. At time of speaking, Gary Goose Jago has just under 1,000 subscribers and would love to break that number. Please pop along and sub his channel if you enjoy pigeon shooting. Here is his latest. The Strawn End Hunting channel puts up this film of pigeon shooting over barley stubble with surrounding winter wheat yet to be harvested. Looks like he's having a good day. The duck and goose seasons are underway in the UK. Shot with Mick Miller puts out this film about getting ready for wildfowling. It is hard to hear him in the wind, but he is rebuilding hides, topping up feeders, and even offering tips on potato picking. Harkila Clothing from Denmark has put out a film about seeker stalking in Ireland. It's not had a lot of views, and I reckon it deserves more. The roe rut is over, and it's not easy for roe stalker to find bucks. They are recovering and not moving around much. He takes a couple of days to get close to a 6-pointer in Poland with English subtitles. Keith Warren's High Season series continues with the opening day of doves in Texas, USA, what he calls the best day of the year. He's a kind of pro man in old gringo boots and 4-pocket pants. Buchanan Hunts makes this pretty film about Cape buffalo, hippo and crocodile hunting in Zambia. This is the highlights package with the long film coming in 2020. And finally, West London Shooting School has a new promo video out, and I include it here because we made it for them. That's right, as well as hilarious films starring Neil and Paul and me, we make beautifully handcrafted corporate videos for the shooting industry, just so's you know. That's it for this week. I've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the I symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. These films are not the only fresh meat we have on offer. There's a new Fieldsports Ireland out. Well, that's it for this week. If you haven't done so, please pop over to our website. I mentioned it earlier. F-Channel is the speedy way to get there. You can click to like us there on Facebook, on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. You can, of course, sign up as a Fieldsports Channel shareholder. Join the Fieldsports Nation. And you can find out more about this show, Fieldsports Britain. It's at 7 p.m. UK time every Wednesday. And that's it for this week. I'll see you next week. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.